Hi guys, and welcome back to another live seminar on the Barber Coach TV. And today I'm honoured to be interviewing international rugby superstar and MBE Shane Williams. Now, Shane has had some inspiring and trend-setting haircuts over the years. Some would say controversial. Um, we'll see what he says about it. But basically, I thought it'd be a good idea to get someone on from a customer's perspective, find out sort of the cuts they've liked, the cuts they've regretted having, the cuts that sort of maybe caused a scene, especially in the celebrity world, and for us being barbers, to see and hear from a customer's perspective what they like and what they don't like, and hopefully we can learn from it, and also just be inspired by Shane in general. So I'm going to pass you over to Shane. Shane, thank you very much for joining us, mate.
Pleasure. Good to be here.
Yeah, you sure?
Yeah.
You're gonna have to expose some of your regrets today or some of your controversial hairstyles.
Oh God, I've had so many. I think I've had the Mickey taken out of me for so long now. Anyway, that I think I'm used to talking about my dodgy haircut, so it's all right.
So I'm not going to go into the politics of rugby and stuff. Obviously, this is on a barbering channel, so we're not going to go too deep into sort of personal success and stuff like that. But obviously, you've done really well on the international scene, rugby-wise. You know, you're known throughout the world. You've won loads of awards. You've got an MBE. Um, so a part of all these amazing successes you've had, um, what's the most favorite haircut you've had?
Oh my God. Um, the thing is with me, I've one of the body parts I suppose that I'd change if I could over time would be my hair. I was always very envious of, the likes of Andy Powell and Gavin Henson and all these boys that just seem to have perfect hair and lots of it. And my hair is just so fine, it's just all over the shop, really. So I've experimented a lot over the years, certainly, and from growing it long to, dyeing it to shaving it. And I don't think there's one haircut that I've really enjoyed, to be honest with you. I just don't think any hairstyle has suited me over the years, to be fair. But probably probably my best haircut has been when I've shaved it all off. To be honest with you, it seemed
Really?
to
Yeah.
be it was almost yeah. Played some of my best rugby with a shaven head. To be fair, but I've
You
had
run a
some
bit
real
faster.
yeah, exactly. I don't know what it is, but I honestly I've had some real stinkers over the years as well. So yeah, probably when I shaved it off in '07, when the first time I ever shaved it off, I enjoyed that haircut because I seemed to play good rugby after it. But yeah, I've certainly gone through the ringer when it comes to haircuts.
I suppose if you've got no hair, it's one less thing to worry about on the rugby field, isn't it? Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, well, that's it, isn't it? If you like Gavin Henson or someone like that, that's quite conscious of how they look and forever looking for the cameras, and you've got your Dax wax and your gel and everything, and there you've got to contend with as well. Having no hair is perfect. It certainly worked for some of the best players that played the game. I suppose Alfie, Gareth Thomas, or a Parise, or Mortlock. These players with no hairs, one less thing to worry about on the rugby field, I suppose, but. No, look, it's just at the time I shaved my hair off. I had a tan already, so that wasn't too bad. And I went into the World Cup in '07, fit and ready, and with a new haircut, and it seemed to work for me really. But yeah, I soon grew it back because my problem is that I'm never happy with something. I always kind of changing it. So I've changed my hairstyle so many times over the years. It's well, to be honest, it's quite embarrassing, really.
It's a bit like that. No, when I cut your hair, it's like one week you go, oh, really short, I've had enough of it, take it off. The next week, like, oh, I'm going to grow it back, leave the top. Then it's like, oh, take it off again, it's doing my head in.
Yeah, that's it. I've only got to see one picture of myself and think, oh no, it's not. It's not as good as I thought it was. And maybe I thought I've seen something in a newspaper, online and social media where that looks like a nice haircut. The problem is half the time, it's someone like Brad Pitt or David Beckham wearing it, and let's be honest with you, any haircut's going to look good on them. And I look at it and think, oh, that'd be a nice little haircut now. And then I have a trim and I think, no, it wasn't. It's just I haven't got the face, I haven't got the chiseled looks, and I certainly haven't got the hair these days either. So I think I'm just clinging on, mate. I don't know.
I wasn't going to say anything, mate, but your boy's definitely got better hair than you. I'll say that much.
Oh, 100%. And yeah, I'm envious of him as well. He's got so much hair, and he's a bit blonder than I was as a kid as well. And it grows back far too quick for my liking. So I'm even envious of my 14-year-old son. How
Does
bad's
he
that?
run as fast as you, though?
Not yet, not yet. But he's
You
not
got
far
one
off.
thing
His
on
legs
him,
are
man.
longer than mine.
You got
Yeah,
one thing on him.
yeah. He's
Um,
he's nearly taller than me already. So he's that's one thing for me to worry about, I suppose. But on the other hand, I'm sure he will be quicker the older he gets now.
no, fair play. So you mentioned Gavin Henson. So I got to be honest with you. They used to call me the Fat Henson when I used to play rugby. I'd be in the centre. I was about 3 stone overweight, but I'd have the silver boots, the fake tan, and the daxed fringe. So rumor has it he used to blow dry his hair before playing rugby. Is that true? In the changing rooms.
Oh, yeah, yeah. Look, Gav. What was important to Gavin was to look good. His motto is, "If I look good, I feel good and I play good." And
Fair play.
the coaches kind of used to allow him to do it. Because if you had a on form Gavin and he was looking good and playing well, you had a world class player in your team. So, oh yeah, Gav would spend hours. If you were sharing a room, then it was a nightmare because if you didn't get up at 5 o'clock in the morning and he got in that toilet before you, he was there 2.5 hours. Doing his hair, getting the smellies on, fake tan. He'd use all the towels. He was an absolute nightmare of a roomie.
Shaving his legs.
And it was, yeah, shaving his anything just to look. That's why he looked as good as he did, I suppose. But when you got to match day, then it was no different. He'd get up early, he'd make sure he was ready. Um, he'd have his run out before the game, and then after the game, then he'd be in the mirror just before we go out in the evening, or even before games. He's in the mirror making sure he looks good for the cameras, and that was it. That was part of what got Gavin going, really. And
Fair enough.
you could afford to. He was a good looking man. He was tanned. He was in great physique, and like I say, he had tons and tons of hair as well. They could do anything with, and oh yeah, massively jealous of Gav. Got to be
Is it?
honest.
Would you have spent all that time on your hair if you had it though?
Well, no, well, I'd spend time on the hair. The face wasn't quite as good as Gav's either, so I wouldn't have to worry about that. But yeah, if you've got hair like that, you've got to take care of it, haven't you? And
Make the most of it, innit?
you see him these days. He's still dark black hair. There's not many greys there, or no greys at all. He probably has dyed it, to be fair, knowing Gav. But he just looks $1 million still. So that's
Oh,
what
fair
happens
play
when you
to
look
him.
after your hair, I suppose.
All right, fair enough. And yeah, that's a good answer. Okay, so before being famous, what was your hairdresser or your barber different to who it was when you became, a celebrity? Were you going to the local barber and then all of a sudden, then you big time, you going to a fancy barber? What's the story?
Yeah, well, local to me, there was a barber called Jim the Barbers. He was my barber from childhood, really, and
Didn't Jim
he's
go
one of those.
blind? Wasn't he cutting hair with like one eye or something? Is that true?
Yeah, he had. I don't know if he was blind, but he had very, very poor eyesight in the end. Bless him.
Right.
And he was one of those that he'd always nick your ear. He'd always catch your ear, and you didn't want to say anything because you didn't want to offend good old Jim. But yeah, I went from him I went to him as a child, probably up until my early 20s. Really, I was still using Jim. Um, and then I would sneak off sometimes to have my hair done elsewhere because back in when was it? God, late 80s, 90s. You had your styles of you had your step. Remember the step? You used to have a step all the way
I
around, and I
understand.
don't think Jim was
Yeah.
capable of doing that. Bless him. You had the
It'd be
curtains,
more like a
the
slope
undercut.
rather than a step, would it?
Yes, yeah, 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 yeah. The tram lines. Remember the curtains where you'd have the bowl and then you would cut underneath so that your hair would
Oh,
kind of, and they used to
terrible.
flick it out as well.
The
Uh,
Peter Andre.
Yes, yeah, they are. Good example. I didn't do it because of Peter, though. I'm sure I
No,
did it
yeah.
before Peter, but
He
but
did it because of you.
yeah, but those ridiculous haircuts going through school. But it's the same as now, isn't it? If it's fashion and someone famous is kind of doing it, or you see someone doing, it, you think, oh, that's pretty cool. You tend to go for it, really, and that was it in the 90s. I thought I looked $1 million back then, but I see the odd picture now, the old photograph, and I'm thinking, oh, just it was embarrassing, absolutely embarrassing.
Yeah, that's so true. I think like it only looks good when the trend is in, innit? Once the trend is over, you realize, oh, that wasn't great. It didn't suit me. But when everyone's doing it, you think, oh yeah, I want to be a part of this. This looks cool. But it's not always
Yeah,
it's not always the case, is it?
there was always kids with, again, hair that was just perfect, it blow in the wind, and they'd have a lovely centre parting, and it would be symmetrical both sides, and even back in school, I'd be thinking, I want my hair like that. It never kind of worked out to that. And when you combine that with, Joe Cool jeans and, your naff jackets and all that nonsense back in the 90s, I looked like an absolute tit. Um, but at the time, I just thought, everyone's doing it. You're bound to look $1 million like the rest of them, but I certainly didn't.
Oh God. But I've got a few pictures I got mine, don't worry. So you're playing for Wales, you spend a lot of time in Cardiff and stuff. You can't go back to good old gym. Where do celebrities go for haircuts? We've got a lot of barbers that's going to be watching this, and they're going to be watching it back once it's recorded. And everyone wants to cut hair for a celebrity. I've been lucky; I've had a couple that I've cut hair for. What do celebrities look for in barbershops or hairdressers? Where do you go when you're big time?
Big time, yeah. I don't know. I think when I started playing for Wales and stuff, and I was a bit more conscious of how I looked, there was a lot of people going to is Andrew Price.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah.
that was the big hairdresser at the time, um, and everyone would be like, oh, you pay about 50 quid for a haircut there, but it's amazing and
How
all
long
this.
ago
So
was
I,
that?
I start. Oh God, that would have been early. So yeah, 2000s really onwards,
It was
where
50 quid then, is it? Yeah.
yeah, oh, it was expensive. Yeah, it was expensive then, and back in the day, I was having color and stuff like that as well. So it was kind of started having color then, I suppose, with Andrew Price, and then it was, you know, what's the cool haircut at the moment? Oh, leave it with me, I'll sort it, without even knowing what you're gonna have.
Oh
And I
wow.
come out there thinking, oh Jesus, what have I done? Again, this might look good on, Brad Pitt or something like that, but it just doesn't work on me, kind of thing. And I was spending a fortune. I was going back every other couple of weeks and going, oh look, that hasn't worked. Let's try something else. It was shocking, to be
That's an
fair.
expensive
Uh,
hobby, mate.
yeah. Oh, yeah, yeah. Well, that's probably when I started kind of earning some nice, decent money. I thought, oh, this is cool. This is what the rugby boys are doing, and I'm sure the footballers are doing as well. But like, I was just chasing it. I was always chasing the perfect haircut, but still to this day,
Never
I've
found it.
I've never found it. I've never found it. But I was paying a bit more back then for it. But no, look, I went through it all. I went through mohawks. I went through mullets, even mullets back in the day where, I thought, right, I'll try something new. Let's do something new with Andrew Price, and even dyeing my hair blonde on the top and black on the back. And where they were, 2005 Grand Slam, you look at some of those games in that championship. I had this dodgy mullet with a black on the back, blonde on the top, spiked mullet. Haven't seen it since. Probably never see it again. And I just thought, oh, look, I'm going to try something new, really. And still now, people say, "What the hell were you thinking back in '05?"
Oh,
And I
they
was like,
do
"Look,
today, yeah.
don't worry about it. Look, we won a Grand Slam because of it, all right? So don't worry about it." But yeah, yeah, but wasn't my best idea. Probably my worst haircut ever, to be honest with you. But typical, your worst haircut is,
You're luckiest.
a haircut. Yeah, well, a luckiest, but probably one that's more photographed than any other kind of picture in a Welsh
Your
jersey.
worst one.
So and the kids look at it now and they're like, there's not even any words that can kind of justify that haircut. It's like, no, I know, I'm sorry about
You're apologising to your kids because you looked so
that.
bad.
Yeah.
Like.
Oh, it was
But you won the
terrible.
Grand
It was
Slam with
awful.
that trim.
Yeah, we won the Grand Slam. I managed to score. The first game was England at home, and I turned up, and I'm thinking I'm looking cool and everything, and I suppose the Welsh fans are just looking at me thinking, what the hell has he come as this week? But then I ended up scoring in that game against England. They were Gavin Henson kicks a 50-yard penalty kick to win the game, and I'm thinking, well, I don't care. I don't care what my hair's like now. You know, we're on for a Grand Slam, so I think that's the reason I kept it for so long, really.
Were you ever conscious? Did you go into a game maybe after having a trim, and then a few days later thinking, "Oh, I wish I didn't have this one." When you're about to play, are you looking in the mirror thinking, "I look like a twat"?
Um, certainly early on when I was, haircuts I was having, even my first, when I played for Wales in the first cap, it was a pretty normal haircut, to be honest with you, quite cut short, short back and sides. But I think I'd like wet gel, and I kind of flicked the front up, and uh, and I hated the haircut itself, but I just kind of went with it. And I remember, being really conscious then, knowing that, my first kind of caps, my first cap for Wales, sorry, there's seven
Oh, I think I've
people
lost you a
watching me
bit.
in the stadium, and there's
Yeah.
about eight, and I'm really conscious of that. I'm really conscious of that hairstyle. Um, but I think the older I got, and the more confident I got on the rugby field, I didn't really give a shit.
If you play good, you make the
In
haircut
fact,
look good, innit?
yeah, maybe, but also, as I got older and as I was criticised for a lot of things anyway. Sometimes you wouldn't play well, or Scarlets fans were criticising you, or Dragons fans, or whatever, and didn't think you should be playing for Wales, or they thought you were too small, etc. So I had a lot of stick kind of coming through my early Welsh days, and I became more and more resilient as the years went on. So haircut was the least of my worries. So in the end,
Perfect.
I would just have haircuts just for the sake of it. Like even though five, the badger I called it because I looked like I had a badger on my head. Even though people were going, "What the hell's he done?" I really didn't care. I didn't
Okay.
care. I was just like, "Look, mate, I'm playing good rugby. I don't care what's on my head." And I'm just going to go with it. And I think that's probably why I changed my hairstyle so many times over the years because I didn't really care. Um, and we're talking extreme. I went from like really short hair to the badger, as I call it, in '05. I'd shave it off then in '07. Then I grew it long in '06. Surfer style blonde hair. Um, went to Zante, had a cracking tan with Gail, and she was pregnant at the time, and she said, "Oh, look, Shane, you're just like a wannabe. You look like a wannabe surfer. When we get home, will you please cut it off?" I was like, "Yeah, no problem." And I'd spent a year growing this hair, and I thought it was amazing, but I went home, cut it all off short again, and I just didn't care. I went with the flow, and like I say, looking back, some horrendous haircuts, but I really don't care. Like I don't care.
Oh, that's fair enough. You didn't get much of a choice, though, did you? So when you went into Andrew Price, you'd give him a bit of free reign, would you?
Yeah, I just go, oh, look, this is what I kind of want to do, and they were like, yeah, no problem. See where you're going with this, and I might have a couple of streaks on the top, and they might shave it on the side, and it was long on the top, and it was when Andrew Price was when everyone was using the straighteners as well.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
I'd have like shortened sides, and I straighten the top up, and my hair is so fine, I'd straighten it, I'd walk out the shop on the window again, and it would go.
Oh
So
gosh.
it was just a waste of time completely. But yeah, I just used to go, look, do what you want with it. I don't really care, to be honest. And and certainly the older you get, the more you like that. I suppose it's just, you're quite relieved that you've got a bit of hair left, and you can still do a little bit of something with it. But yeah, those days are gone for me. Concerned about my hairstyles, I can tell you.
Oh, that's fair enough. So you've well, traveled the world, played all over the world, lived in Japan for a while. Do you have any barbershop horror stories? Is there an experience, or is there something you've seen and you thought, "Oh, I'm never going there again," or I never want to see that in a barbershop again"? Is there anything like that?
Um, no, no, not so bad. I don't think. I think a couple of scary occasions in a barber shop. I lived in Japan for 3 years, and my Japanese was a bit ropey, obviously, especially at the start. So going for a haircut was always a gamble. Um, there was a little keywords, chotto kudasai, where I would mean little, saido or chotto kudasai, and I'd go in and I think he hasn't got a clue what I'm saying here, so he's literally just going to cut my hair any way he wants. Um, and then he'd get the cutthroat razor out as well, and I'd be thinking, oh Jesus Christ, what's going to go on here? But it was always a great experience actually having a haircut in Japan because they'd give you a nice little shave as well. They'd have the hot towel on your face, and you're treated like a god, like just for a 10 quid haircut. To be fair, but those are quite scary because my Japanese was shocking. So going in there asking for a haircut was always an ordeal, especially when a different barber was there, every week as well. But no, like I say, no real bad experiences to be honest. Apart from Jim Barber, bless him, where I got scars all over my ears, and my ears stick out anyway, right? Let's be honest. But I'd come out of there, it didn't matter what age I was, whether I was 7 or 8 or I was 17, 18. When I was young, my mother would take me and she'd go, "Don't you cry this week," because I'd always be crying because he'd be cutting my ears. And then even at 17, 18, I'd go in there and I got the same nicks in the same places that I did when I was a kid. So those were always a bit traumatic, but no, I've been quite lucky, I suppose. And like I say, the older I've got, the less I've really cared about what I look like coming out of the shop. So it's all good.
Okay, fantastic. Well, we'll move on from the haircutting nightmares now then. So you're still working really hard. You've got businesses. You transitioned from rugby to business. How was that for you as a transition?
Yeah, what you got to realize is when you're a professional rugby player, and you are for a long time, as I was, um, I didn't really have anything else to fall back on. I done okay in school, GCSE wise, didn't go into school didn't stay in school for A levels. Um, so I was playing rugby from a very young age, and then professionally from about the age of 20, 21. And did it for a long time. And when you finish playing rugby, you realize then that the fact you were getting paid quite well to do something that you were relatively good at, doesn't matter anymore. Didn't
Mm.
it? In the business world, it didn't matter that I could play rugby. That's going to get me nowhere in a business then, so to speak. So I started from scratch, and I started a number of businesses. I went into the oil business where my father-in-law, my brother-in-law had experience in that. I kind of put a lot of money into the business and bought a facility, a unit. Um, I put money into buying the vehicles and the oil, etc. And kind of worked from out. We've been doing that since 2012, and that's a real successful business at the moment. We've just moving slowly into the renewable side of it, so solar panels, air source and ground source heating, lithium batteries, etc., etc. So that's kind of helped me along the way. But I've also realised as well that I'm lucky really in the sense that I've got a lot of people around me that are business savvy, and that's kind of helped me get into other businesses. I've just over the last couple of years I've started a coffee business with a couple of the Welsh lads and Lions lads as well, which kind of used our fame or used what we've done in the past to kind of help us there, along with the gin company, and that's Fab Four and Perthyn. I've got a property portfolio and development company that I've kind of um, almost kind of mistakenly fell upon really because through the years I've been buying property and renting them out, etc., etc. And then of course I've got the TV side of things and the punditry and the commentary side of things where I work with ITV and the likes of Premier Sports or Viaplay now as they're called, S4C language as well. And I do events and dinners and stuff as well when I'm invited. So it's just things like that. I'm lucky in the sense that I played for Wales, or those things wouldn't have come along, and who knows what I'd be doing. But it's a scary, it's a daunting place to be because, like I said, it's you've been learning and training and working to be a good rugby players for so long. You've kind of forgotten that there's other things out there in the world. Business, business life, holistically how to live, investments, pensions, etc. And almost, you almost leave it too late, really, thinking, "Oh, I'm going to play rugby forever." You're not going
Mm.
to play rugby forever. You're only going to play rugby. for a short period of time to a point in your life where you're a long way away from being retired as well. You know, it's 30 years until, for me, finishing playing rugby to when I should be retiring. So that's a lot of time. If you've got nothing lined up and you haven't worked on something to kind of move on to. So I'm being lucky in that sense. It's a difficult period because I know a lot of players that have played for so long have gone into the real world, into the business and employment world, and have really, really struggled through anxiety, depression, not feeling like they fit in anymore, missing rugby, missing the camaraderie of the boys. And I've been there, and I've been there myself. It's a lonely place, this world, when you haven't got that comfort blanket of rugby with you anymore. So it's tough. It is tough, but I was one of the lucky ones that I kind of had something to kind of work on and fall back on. But it is, it can be a lonely world sometimes, I suppose.
I can imagine. I really appreciate that, but it's also really inspiring. So that's what I wanted to. This is how I wanted to bring this to a close now. Is like, you've had to work so hard to build a professional career in sport. You've now got to dig deep and work so hard, spend all this time into business, and as well as business, you're also doing Ironman competitions, triathlons, all this crazy stuff that I can't even get my head around because I'm just not built for that sort of thing. But like, how do you stay motivated? Now I know barbering, is very different to keeping fit, but when it comes to digging deep and finding motivation, finding inspiration, getting up and putting the shift in, how do you inspire yourself? How do you motivate yourself?
Yeah, when I finished playing rugby, I missed rugby. I missed the whole camaraderie of the lads and the whole atmosphere of being together and helping each other, having someone to talk to or whatever it may be. So when I retired, I realized, God, I haven't got this anymore, and I missed it straight away. And I looked for the next challenge. I'm always someone that pushes himself physically and mentally anyway. Um, and the first thing I thought I wanted to do, and it was on the bucket list, was to do the London Marathon. And I did it with about 8 weeks training. It was horrendous. It nearly killed me. But it kind of, a light bulb going off in my head to say, look, Shane, that you found something that you're not good at. You found something that you're gonna have to need to work on, which means you're going to spend a lot of time training for it. It's a lot of focus. It's going to keep you mentally sane, and it's going to keep you physically fit. And I said, look, I'm going to do that again next year, and I'm going to smash it. And then I just kind of, that snowballed into being challenged to do an Ironman and triathlons without any kind of running, cycling, or swimming experience. And then I just started training for it, and I realized straight away it keeps me focused. It keeps me um, mentally fit. Certainly, helps me with my physical fitness. And even though I'm very competitive, I know I'm never going to win Ironman. I'm never going to win a triathlon. I'm never going to beat the pros. I'm always competing with myself. I always want to get fitter. I always want to get faster, and I always want to get more competitive because, you know, I don't want to get old. I don't want to
Mm,
get slow, and I
mm.
want to stay alive, and I want to stay mentally fit and healthy. And this is exactly what Ironman does for me. It keeps me going. It keeps, I get up in the morning knowing, right, I've got to do some work today, but you know, I'm going to go for a half-hour run, or I'm going to jump on the bike, or I'm going to jump in the pool, and I'm going to stay fit, and it's going to, it'll give me something to focus on, and it gives me one less thing to worry about in my life, and it's as simple as that. And I just keep doing it, and I enjoy it. I enjoy the fact that I can train with friends or family members. My brother-in-laws do it. Um, we can go for a cycle. We live in the Amman Valley, where, we've got some of the best cycling routes in Wales. We can go up there and, just forget about things, go for a coffee, have a chat, discuss things. And it almost takes me a little bit back to being a rugby player and being in that environment again. And, and what I love as well is the camaraderie, is the piss taking, is, the competitiveness, right? Oh, I'm going to beat you this week. Oh, we're going to do that and the other. And also, the event itself, where I still get my match nerves. I still get, jittery. I still get excited.
Okay.
I get butterflies. I get goosebumps. Um, and you get crowds. You get people cheering you on whilst you're going. And one of my favourite things about playing for Wales or for the Ospreys, whatever was running out to the stadium, seeing and hearing the crowd cheering and cheering your name and cheering the team on. And that was one of my favourite things to do in a rugby jersey. And you can even get that now, whether you do an Ironman down in Tembe, Amman Valley, sprint triathlon, London Marathon, New York Marathon, Cotswolds, Olympic distance triathlon. You still get people cheering you on and willing you to do well. And I love that. And I love the whole atmosphere about it as well. And, additional to that, I do it for charity. I support a number of charities, and I'm ambassador for Lindre and Joseph Smile and all these other charities as well. And doing it and raising money and then finishing the race and knowing you've done something good for somebody else just makes it all worthwhile, really. So yeah, I'll continue to do it for as long as I physically can. And I'd encourage anyone to do something, whether it's a park run for charity, a tough mudder, whether it's just I don't know, a 5K walk, or whether it's a marathon, depending on your fitness or what you want to do. I'd really encourage people to do it, because it takes your focus off some of the crappy things in life, and it makes you realize that there's a lot of good still out there as well, and that certainly helps me.
Would you say looking after yourself physically and keeping yourself competitive by giving yourself challenges, it also helps you mentally?
100%, 100%. Look, the way I look at it, it's I'm never going to play for Wales again, so I'm never going to score tries for Wales anymore. I'm not going to win London Marathon. I'm certainly not going to win Ironman Wales over the weekend. But I at the moment I feel like I'm winning with me. I'm always giving myself a challenge. I'm believe it or not, even though I'm getting older, I'm getting fitter. I'm getting PBs in these races, which makes me feel mentally amazing. I'm dreading getting old. I'm dreading getting old and grey, and having people to kind of look after me. That scares the life out of me. It really does. So turning up to these events and still being quicker and still being fitter, and like I say, I'm lighter now than I was when I played. I'm probably in better nick now than I was when I played, and that
Are you
makes
fitter?
me feel. Yeah, it was a different fitness, isn't it? So I'm certainly fitter in the sense that when I played rugby, I probably run 3 mile would be the furthest I'd run, and I would be absolutely blown. Whereas I could go out tonight now and run a half marathon, no problem.
No problem.
But that makes me feel great. That makes me feel great because I know I'm physically fit, but more importantly, mentally, I'm in a very, very good place, and it makes me feel great. And everyone, a lot of people I speak to are in the same boat. So, if you're feeling good and you're getting older and feeling fitter and faster, that's got to be a win-win, isn't it?
Yeah, that's amazing and it's inspiring. Well, like I say, I can agree with you. I've not quite, I haven't quite got it to your standard, but just by little things like signing up for a charity boxing match recently and having to work for that, and working on myself personally and physically, I'm feeling myself getting mentally stronger, more motivated, more productive and things. And I think I really want to get this point across. So there's such a big thing with regards to like mental health at the minute, and people are struggling to be motivated. You got all these pressures from the cost of living crisis and everything else. But if you can look after yourself, because at the end of the day, that's down to you and nobody else. If you can look after yourself, it can make every other challenge that little bit easier, I find.
Yeah.
It is working for me as well to a small degree. I'm not quite at your standard yet, but I'm working towards it.
No, but it's like I say, it doesn't have to be a standard as such. It's just doing something. And I've got friends that don't do Ironman but love just coming out once a week, maybe on a bike ride. Um, we'll be on that bike, or we'll stop for a coffee, and it's bizarre. We talk about things now that you probably wouldn't have spoken about maybe 4 or 5 years ago, things that are personal, um, um, issues they're having at home, in work, or whatever it may be, the fact that they are stressed out, the fact that do feel depressed sometimes. And these are, people that I never thought would speak to me like this, and tell me things like they are now. And so it's all walks of life, and I think it's just a distraction, isn't it? You know, you're doing something that's out of your comfort zone, and you're there, and you're thinking, oh, I'm enjoying this, and then you end up talking about things that you probably, back in the day, it used to be, look, let's go for a pint and have a chat. That doesn't even happen anymore, really. It's for
No.
me, it's because I hardly drink now. It's look, let's go for a bike ride. We'll have a chat. We'll have a coffee or something, and even a walk. And go, let's go for a walk. Let's have a chat and a walk, or we go for a run, or it can be absolutely anything. Go swimming, and it's just sat in the car with someone, discussing their anxieties and their worries, and that's another good thing about having something to focus on. I've got mates that have been depressed and have really struggled at times. They've signed up for marathons or Ironman Wales or whatever. They don't talk about those problems anymore. It's like it's more problems like, oh my God, am I going to get the nutrition right on Ironman Day now? They're really worried about that rather than the things, the non-sickle things they were
Yeah.
worried about before. And I just think it's amazing. And it, I struggled when I finished playing rugby. I missed the lads. I missed the camaraderie with the boys. Adam Jones, for example. Me and Adam pretty much started the same day at Neath. Duncan Jones, these boys. And I spent a lot of time with them, almost every day of my professional career with them. Next thing, I'm in Japan, Adam's in London in the Harlequins, and I'm thinking, I used to spend every day with this fella, and
Yeah.
I probably haven't seen him for 3 or 4 years now.
Wow.
It was bizarre. So little things like that, um, and by having things to focus on now, it's just helped me massively, and I couldn't encourage it more really for people.
No, I really appreciate that, and it's really inspiring. And so, well, good luck Sunday, it is, isn't it? You're doing the Ironman in Tembe. Is
Yes, yeah, yeah.
it
Like I
the
say,
second hardest course in the world?
well, yeah, it's in the top three certainly, and that's one of the challenges of it. Anything being in any event in Wales, we're all hills, aren't we? That's the problem. But again, the support we'll have there on Sunday is going to be amazing. So the butterflies have kicked in already. Honestly,
Oh, is it?
it's bizarre. I love it though. I absolutely love being nervous and frightened, and this is my sixth one, so it's crazy. I love it.
Yeah, I think you've got to be crazy to do it. No disrespect. Maybe one day, who knows? I don't know if I
Maybe.
could do it. I got to
Oh,
learn how to
look,
swim. I am.
now honestly, right? I've had friends that have literally signed up for Ironman and they're not able to swim. So they've spent 12 months, really putting the effort in, learning to swim, putting the hours in, and have gone and smashed it. Um, that's a brilliant thing about triathlons. I think it's all shapes and sizes, it's all ages, all genders. Anyone can do it, and I've gone, I've kind of run past or cycled past people. I'm looking at them thinking, God, they look like pro athletes, and then someone has flown past me at 40 mile an hour, and they're like 17, 18 stone, and I'm like that's Ironman and that's triathlon for you.
Oh,
It's fantastic. It's honestly, I think anyone should have a look at it. Give it not Ironman perhaps at the start, triathlon especially. Give it a go. Have a look at it, and you'll enjoy it. I'm sure you will.
so for anyone who doesn't know, what's involved in an Ironman?
Well, Ironman on the site Sunday is a full Ironman, so it's basically nearly a 2.5 mile swim, straight onto a bike, which is 112 miles, and then a marathon to finish, all in one day, all in one hit, hopefully. Um, So that's Ironman Pembrokeshire or Ironman Wales as we all call it, and it's one of the toughest courses in the world. So yeah, it's a beast. Well, it's a dragon, as they say. It's the
Wow.
dragon, so it's not easy.
Oh, that's amazing. Well, I'm not going to keep you much longer. I'm just going to ask you like a quick fire question round. I'm going to ask you a couple of barber related questions or hair related questions. I've only got a few of them
Okay,
just for a bit of fun, and then you can just answer sort of whichever one you want, and then we'll bring it to a close. So barber related topics.
okay.
So appointments or walk-ins.
Oh, appointments.
Okay.
Yeah,
Uh, di-
I think it's yeah appointments. I like to plan.
okay, fair enough. Daytime appointments or evening appointments.
Um, I think evenings are working quite well for us, aren't they? I
Yeah.
I enjoy an evening. I can get stuff done in the day, yeah, which is great.
Brilliant. Um, Long hair or short hair?
Oh, if you'd have asked a 21-year-old Shane, it would have been long hair, but I'm past that, so short hair now.
Right,
Very
okay.
short.
Gel or wax?
Oh, same as the other. A young Shane was the wet gel, but that's gone a long time ago. So it's what VO5 Max, is it VO5 or VO2 or whatever it's called, wax. I think now I'm
Yeah.
using. I think
Okay.
that's how I'm not with it. Don't even know the name there.
Hairdressers or barbers?
Oh, barbers now. Barbers,
Yeah.
100%. Yes, yeah.
So
Bit more rough and rugged, aren't they?
Gerrans is one you over from Andrew Price Hairdressers then, is it?
Oh, yeah. No, those days are gone. Yeah, those the Gale Platt haircuts have gone, so I'm more rough and ready now.
Um, Simple, no nonsense experience or pampered and fussy and beards and all that sort of experience?
Uh, no nonsense for me. Yeah,
No
easy.
nonsense. What's the most you paid for a haircut?
Um, I think I think I paid about 70 quid for a haircut at Andrew Price once. Like I say, it might have been the Badger actually because there was two colours in that. Um,
The
and
budget.
it was quite a technical cut. It was shit, but it was technical. So my worst haircut was probably my most expensive actually, and that was a long
Flipping
time
heck.
ago.
Yeah, it's probably double that now, isn't it? 150 quid there, probably.
Yeah.
Gosh, 150 quid. And it was about, what, 15, 20 years ago or more?
Oh God, 2005. So it's 18 years ago now. 18 years. Yeah, the Badger. Yeah.
Goodness me. All right.
I've
Beard
been
or
waiting
clean
for it to come
shaven?
back, but it hasn't.
Oh, no, don't bring it back,
Oh.
mate.
Um, I think yeah, stubble. So beard, I'd say. Yeah. I haven't got the face
You,
for a clean shaven.
you've had the hot towel experiences, though, have you?
I used to have the hot towel in Japan. Actually, I did. I used to really enjoy it. I used to feel pampered and fresh and clean.
Okay.
But I just think I look better with a bit of stubble.
That's fair enough, mate. And last one, Scarlett or Ospreys?
Ospreys. That was an easy one, wasn't it? If you'd have asked me when I was about 12, it might have been the other way around. But yeah, and unfortunately, my blood is black now, so can't do anything about it.
Wow. Oh, that's amazing. Well, look, mate, thank you very, very much for taking some time out to speak with us. I know you've got a busy week ahead of you and a very stressful week. Good luck on Sunday. We really appreciate your chat and your feedback and your inspiration. And
No worries.
hopefully we'll do it again soon.
Yeah, no problem, mate. Cheers, pal.
Thanks, Shane. Take care.
Ta-ra.
Bye, mate.